نحمده ونصلي على رسول الكريم ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Respected viewers and listeners, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we shall try to read and learn few more verses from chapter number 3, Aali-Imran, starting from verse number 183. Please hold a copy of Quran in your hands or a Quran holder, and let's focus on these particular verses. We start from verse number 183 of chapter 3, Aali-Imran. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Alladina, those call who said, Inna Allah ahida ilayna. That indeed Allah has taken a covenant from us. Allah nu'mina li rasul. That not to believe in any messenger hatta ya'tina bi Qur'ān, until he brings us an offering or a sacrifice, ta'kuluhu nar, which is consumed by fire. Qul, O messenger, tell them, qad ja'akum rusulun min qabli. Surely many messengers came to you before me, bil bayyinat, with clear proofs, wa billati qultum, and with that what you are now demanding or asking. Falima qataltuhum, then why did you kill them? In kuntum sadiqin, if you are truthful in your beliefs. Fa in kadzabuka, O Messenger Muhammad, peace upon him, if they reject you or deny you, faqad kuzba rusulun min qabl, certainly messengers were denied or rejected even before you. Ja'u bil bayyinat, who came with clear signs, was zubur, and written ordinances, wal kitabil munir, and they came with enlightening scriptures. Kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut, every soul has to taste death. Wa innama tuwaffawna ujurakum yawmal qiyamah, and surely you will be paid your reward in full on the day of judgment. فَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ, and who is drawn away from fire or saved from fire, وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةَ, and admitted to the gardens of paradise, فَقَدْ فَازَ, surely he has attained his due. وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ, but this worldly life is nothing but enjoyment of delusion. لَا تُبْلَوُنَّ فِي أَمْوَالِكُمْ وَأَنفُسِكُمْ, surely you will be tested in your wealth and in your own selves. وَلَتَسْمَعُنَّ مِنَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ, and you shall hear from those who were given book or scriptures before you. وَمِنَ الَّذِينَ أَشْرَكُوا, and from those who associate partners with God. أَذًا كَثِيرًا, many abuses you shall hear from them. وَإِن تَصْبِرُوا وَتَتَّقُوا, if you persevere patiently, وَتَتَّقُوا, and guard against evil and fear Allah, فَإِنَّ ذَلِكَ مِنْ عَزْمِ الْأُمُورِ, surely it is a matter of great resolution. وَإِذْ أَخَذَ اللَّهُ مِيثَاقَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ, and remember when Allah took a covenant from those who were given the book, لَتُبَيِّنُنَّهُ لِلنَّاسِ, that they should make it clear for the people. وَلَا تَكْتُمُونَ, and they shall not conceal anything therein. فَنَبَذُوهُ وَرَاءَ ظُهُورِهِمْ, but they threw it back behind their backs. وَاشْتَرَوْا بِهِ ثَمَنًا قَلِيلًا, and exchanged it for a small worldly price. فَبِئْسَ مَا يَشْتَرُونَ, what wretched or worse thing they purchased. لَا تَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ يَفْرَحُونَ, and never think that those who rejoice in what they have brought about or perpetrated, وَيُحِبُّونَ أَن يُحْمَدُوا, and who desire or wish to be praised, بِمَا لَمْ يَفْعَلُوا, for that which they never did. فَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّهُمْ بِمَفَازَةٍ مِّنَ الْعَذَابِ, and don't think about them that they will be saved from the fire. وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ, but for them will be grievous punishment. وَلِلَّهِ مُلْكُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ, to Allah belongs the dominion of heavens and earth. Wallahu ala kulli shayin qadir, and Allah has power over everything. So these are the verses starting from 183. I hope you remember the last verses we studied last time. لَقَدْ سَمِعَ اللَّهُ قَوْلَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ فَقِيرٌ وَنَحْنُ أَغْنِيَاءُ. It was about Jews, how they used to behave arrogantly against Prophet, peace upon him. And they would miss no opportunity to hurt him and to injure the feelings of the believers by talking what they themselves knew was not based on facts. And it is regarding this statement continues here. That Al-Ladina, these are those, that it's about those Jews who claim to be the followers of Moses, Prophet Moses, which they actually were not. Because they had forgotten his book, they had forgotten his message, they had forgotten his teachings. And you don't forget about the history in the lifetime of Moses, how they behaved against him, how they didn't trust him. That's a part of history now. We need to see from their own books. Read the Old Testament, starting from book of Exodus and Leviticus and Numbers and Deuteronomy and all this. See how they behaved. How Moses was time and again grieved by the doings of his followers, who on one hand claimed to be his followers and then never trusted him. When Moses was called by Allah to Mount Sinai for 40 days, just so that he gets an opportunity to speak to Allah the Almighty and receive some written ordinances, what we call now 10 Commandments. And imagine, in his absence, what these people did. Which people? Whom Moses had delivered before their eyes from their enemies, and they had seen with their own eyes how their enemy, who had reduced them to pulp, who had made their life miserable, that is Pharaoh, how he got drowned before their eyes. And it was by Allah and through Moses, the prophet, peace be upon him. And they had seen all the favors they received after crossing that sea. After the drowning of Pharaoh, when they reached other part of the sea, that's Red Sea, across that, and when they were traveling through the desert, how many favors Allah bestowed upon them. Arranged their divine food for them in the form of manna and quails. And not even a drop of water was available to them for around 500,000 people who accompanied Moses to the desert towards the promised land, that's Palestine. How Allah arranged water for them, and how a shade of cloud was created over them to protect them, to save them from blistering heat, and underneath them only sand, which would turn red hot during the daytime. Despite all that, how they received favors through they were the chosen ones. Moses was there with them, but despite all this, how did they behave with him? So that's a part of history. We know, even their books talk about the disobedient behavior, faithlessness of Jews during the lifetime of Moses, and even after that. At the time of Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, when he announced the faith of Islam in its purest form, this faith of Islam was nothing. It was not a new faith. It was the faith of all the prophets, faith of Moses, faith of Jesus Christ, faith of Abraham and Noah and all the prophets. That was to worship one and only God, not associate partners with him. That was the faith. Now, how Jews reacted to it, how they left no stone unturned to defame the prophet simply because he was reviving the message of Moses and Jesus. Here in this was what we are studying today. They used to say, Al-Ladina Qalu, those who said, that means the Jews, when Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, invited them to faith, to Islam, the religion of all the prophets, right from day one. But how did they respond? Al-Ladina Qalu, those who said, Inna Allah ahida ilayna, that Allah has taken a promise or covenant from us, Allah numna li Rasul, that not to believe in any messenger, hatta ya'tina bi Qur'ān ta'kuluhu nar, unless he brings you offering or a sacrifice which is consumed by fire. Yes, it was a Mosaic law. And even before that, we know when Adam had two sons, Abel and Cain, we know their stories, when they offered their offerings, an offering of one son was accepted. And what was the sign of acceptance at that time? During previous versions of Islam, that too is Islam, that offering, when anybody would sacrifice some animal or anything, offer present some offering before God, fire from heaven would come and consume it. That was considered to be divine acceptance to that offering. And it was even during Moses. But Moses never said that any prophet, all the prophets should present such offerings, then this will be a test of their prophethood. But it was only these Jews of Medina used this argument, baseless argument against the Prophet, peace be upon him, that when they were asked, why don't you believe in Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, they used to say, no, God has taken us a covenant from us, that we should not believe in any prophet, we should not put in our faith in any prophet unless he brings us an offering which is consumed by fire, or which is devoured by fire. And that was not true. This was not declared as a test for any prophet by even Moses. The Quran has a beautiful argument about it. Okay, oh cheers, if you take it as a confirmatory test for the genuineness of a messenger or a prophet, okay, see your own history. Many prophets who came after Moses, who presented such offerings, who brought to you such offerings, which were consumed by fire. Okay, why did you reject them? Why did you kill many? You killed many of them. Why? If you are truthful in this, that why not? Why doesn't Muhammad, peace be upon him, show us or bring us such an offering? So this was a lame excuse they tried to use against Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and in fear of their own selves, that's why we're not believing in Prophet, peace be upon him. Then Prophet is told, Fine Kazaboka, don't you worry. If they deny you, they are not accepting you as prophet, they are rejecting your prophethood, need not worry. Fakat Kuzba Rasulullah min Qablik. Many messengers were denied like it before you. Ja'u bil bayinat, who also came with clear proofs, as you, O Muhammad, peace be upon you, have now come with clear proofs. Wazubur, a written ordinance they came with, wal kitab al-munir, an enlightening book. And their history that they rejected them. And kullu nafsin, so need not to worry. This is just simply an excuse they're expressing against you. Otherwise, it has no foundation whatsoever. They have no basis, no argument to reject your prophethood, O Muhammad, peace be upon him. This only out of arrogance they are doing it. Kullu nafsin za'iqatul maut. Every soul has to taste death. Wa innama tuwaffawna ujurakum yawmal qiyamah, and you will be compensated, fully compensated on the day of judgment. فَمَنْ زُهْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ, who will be drawn away, taken away from fire, that means saved from fire, وَأُدْخِلَ جَنَّةً, admitted to the garden, فَقَدْ فَازَ, yes, he has attained, is due, that means he'll be successful. He'll reach highest level of attainment. وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا, as far as this worldly life is concerned, it is nothing illa mata'al ghurur, except it is nothing but enjoyment of delusion. That means they are celebrating these Jews that they have wealth or they have comfortable living. This is not any proof or confirmation of their truthfulness, of their faith. The worldly life is just enjoyment of delusion. Few days life they are enjoying. The real enjoyment is with the enjoyment which is everlasting, and that is in the next world, that's in the life hereafter. لَتُبْلَوُنَّ فِي أَمْوَالِكُمْ. Oh believers, you need not to worry, you will be tested in your wealth, وَأَنفُسِكُمْ, and your own self. That means Allah will ask you, His word, the messenger may at times ask you to spend your wealth for your faith, for the safety of your faith, for defense of your system and faith. وَأَنفُسِكُمْ, you may be asked to lay down your lives for that. You should be ready for that, because this is a good deal. Sacrificing the comforts of this worldly life, which is nothing but enjoyment of delusion, which are the comforts of just few days life. If by sacrificing that, you get in exchange comforts which are everlasting for infinite periods of time, enjoyment, Allah's pleasure, and His favors, His blessings in the next world, the world which is going to last forever. There shall be no end to it. It is a good bargain. Oh believers, you not to worry. They're criticizing you that, oh believers, you are unnecessarily laying down your lives for nothing. Because they used it at the time of Badr, at the time of Battle of Uhud. These Jews especially, and their followers who pretended to be Muslim, that is the hypocrites, would mock at and ridicule the believers, branding them as fools, that they are unnecessarily sacrificing their own belongings, their wealth, or even their lives. Had they stayed with us, as we said last time, they would say, had these people stayed with us, not participated in war, they would not have been killed. They are unnecessarily getting killed for nothing. But Quran says, don't be influenced, don't be discouraged by their sayings, O believers. Surely you will be tested. لَا تُبْلَوُنَّ فِي أَمْوَالِكُمْ وَأَنفُسِكُمْ. You will be tested in your wealth and by your own selves. You have to, because these are all matal hayat dunya, enjoyment of few days. And if you are asked to sacrifice this for the eternal comforts of the next life, for the gardens of paradise, where you will be under the blessings of Allah the Almighty. His blessings will be on you, and your comforts for all times to come. It's a good bargain. وَلَتَسْمَعُنَّ مِنَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. And surely, O believers, you shall hear from these who were given the book, that means Jews and Christians, you shall hear from that such talks. وَمِنَ الَّذِينَ أَشْرَكُوا. And from those who associate partners with God, you shall hear from them أَذًا كَثِيرًا. Abuses, and the talks which will hurt your feelings. But don't worry, keep yourself intact, have your faith in Allah, and be sure you are sacrificing your lives. You are sacrificing your own belongings and everything, all comforts, and most of your lives, and they are still mocking at you. Of course, after all, they were also humans. They used to get hurt. But Quran said, don't you worry, this is again a test for you. If you patiently persevere, patiently against all these talks of this abuse and the talks which may hurt your feelings, but you don't feel hurt, you show patience, perseverance. And if you guard against evil, and you fear only Allah, and not get influenced by the loose talks, the way they ridicule you, they mock at you, and they look down upon you. فَإِنَّ ذَلِكَ مِنْ أَزْمِ الْأُمُورِ. Yes, surely, it's a great matter of great resolution. That means it's not an ordinary man's job. Let everybody talking against you, or trying to discourage you, create suspicions in your minds, and they try to sow seeds of dissension and disappointment in your hearts and your souls. If you stand against it and you show patience and you guard against your evil, against all the evil, that means it's not an ordinary man's job. It's a matter of great resolution. Only true believers having perfect faith can withstand such false propaganda. And remember, when Allah took a covenant from the people of the book, that they shall make clear all these things, teachings to the people, for the people. That means the people of the book, through their own prophets like Moses and Jesus, they received the books, their prophets, and these books were received by their followers. They were asked, as the true followers of their prophets, to convey the message, divine revelations, to the people. Wala taktumuna, they were advised not to conceal anything therein, but clearly spread the message, convey the message. But they didn't do justice to that. فَنَبَذَهُ وَرَاءَ ظُهُورِهِمْ, they threw it behind their backs. That they didn't care about it. They were not bothered, they were not concerned. They didn't fulfill that mission of their prophets. They had to convey the message, but they didn't. وَاشْتَرَوْا بِهِ ثَمَنًا قَلِيلًا, and they exchanged it for the small worldly price. That means they got indulged in worldly affairs, forgot the message and the messengers. And they threw back all this behind their backs. وَاشْتَرَوْا بِهِ ثَمَنًا قَلِيلًا, just exchanged it for a small worldly price. فَبِئْسَ مَا يَشْتَرُونَ, what a wretched or this worst thing, evil, they purchased for those great messages and their scriptures, which they were expected to practice themselves, follow strictly, and then convey to others, but they didn't do. On the other hand, they indulged in worldly affairs and forgot that real mission of their lives. لا تحسبن الذين يفرحون بما أتوا. And never think that those who rejoice in what they brought about, that is again concern the people of the book. ولا تحسبن الذين يفرحون بما أتوا. And never think that those who rejoice in what they have brought about or perpetrated, وَيُحِبُّونَ أَن يُحْمَدُوا, and they desire that they should be praised, بِمَا لَمْ يَفْعَلُوا, for what they have not done. They want praises for they did nothing, but they want still they should be praised. فَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّهُمْ بِمَفَازَةٍ مِنَ الْعَذَابِ. Don't think they will be saved from fire. There's any safety for them against fire. But on the other hand, for them will be grievous punishment. وَلِلَّهِ مُلْكُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ, and to Allah belongs the dominion of heavens and earth. وَاللَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ, and Allah has power over everything. Allah is competent to do anything. Because His power, He's the creator, He's the Lord, He's the nourisher, He's the sustainer, He's the cherisher. He doesn't need anybody's help. He appointed messengers and from amongst humans, conveyed them the message, divine message through revelations, which they convert to their followers. But these followers, unworthy followers of Prophet, especially Jews, they didn't care. But Allah doesn't care about them if they are not, if it was for their betterment. And among those messages which they had to convey to others was the message about the arrival of the new prophet, whose arrival was foretold by their messenger in his own book. See, book of Deuteronomy, where clearly mentioned a prophet is going to come. Moses telling his people, yes, from amongst your brethren, not from amongst you, but from your brethren. That is from the offspring of Ismail. And that prophet was none other than Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, because the only prophet raised from among the offspring of Ishmael was Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Till then, for around 2000, more than 2000 years, all the prophets had come from amongst the offspring of Jacob, whom we call Bani Israel, the children of Jacob, like Joseph, then Moses, Aaron, and all the prophets. And now was the time of the arrival of the last and the final prophet, but from amongst your, as Moses said, from the words of Moses, from amongst your brethren. That's from Ismaili line. That Quran said Allah belongs to dominion of heavens and earth, and He has power and authority. He knows, He is competent. He can do anything. But you are not sincere followers of God's commandments. Had you been, then you would have believed in prophethood of Muhammad, peace be upon him, because your prophet said time and again, when another prophet comes after me, you are under obligation to believe in him, because that messenger will convey you the same message which I had conveyed to you. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم والحمد لله رب العالمين.